it's me, MLB. Here is part 16 of Yin and Yang. Enjoy. Word had indeed gotten back to Aizawa pretty quickly that Mineta had infiltrated the campsite, and he groaned internally, keeping a neutral look on his face. Who is still in contact with Mineta? He asked Ida, who had been the first to run back to tell him. I am unsure, Ida replied, with his hands pressed to his side. But right now, we need to find him and detain him before anything untoward happens. Aizawa nodded. How far down the track was he? Or any of the girls down there? Yes, Yin, Momo, and Uraraka were at the furthest points, I believe. I did hear screams, but Ojiro ran to them while I came to you, Ida replied. I alerted the others along the way, so I assume that they have now gone to help the girls. Just then, Kaminari came running out of the trees. Sir, I'm sorry. I posted 2 pictures on Instagram and he liked them. Well, one of them was me and Yin, and it had the location on it, he panted. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Save your apologies for the push-ups that you're doing as punishment, Aizawa said darkly, before heading off down to the start of the track. Sir, what do you need me to do? Ida called. If the girls make it back here, attend to their needs. If anyone else comes back, tell them the relay race has been momentarily suspended until further notice. Yes, sir, Ida called, losing sight of Aizawa as he started to jog into the mist. You had been looking at Ojiro for the longest time now, trying to understand what was going on. He had said you were special to him? Why? What had you done that helped him? You couldn't think of anything right there off the top of your head, but then you thought about the flip side and reversed the question back to you. What had he done for you that was special? Well, he made you feel differently than before. He sometimes cancelled your quirk, but you were seeing that was a good thing. It allowed you to refocus and use your quirk better than when you were using it only in anger. Your whole world had changed since he came into your life. No, you suddenly said out loud. I'm not special to him. Ojiro looked at you, surprised at first, but then crestfallen. Were you going to tell him to go away again? And keep away from you? Had he overstepped the invisible line again somehow? But, he's actually special to me, and I want to work through everything with him. By my side, you announced. Ojiro blushed. Momo gasped and suppressed a delighted squeal, and Uraraka went bright red and slapped her hands to her cheeks. Did Yin just confess her undying love for Ojiro? She gasped internally as she watched you square up beside him. He obviously thought so too, as he had gone very bashful now. But your loud proclamation only seemed to anger the hidden threat. Ah! The shrill voice screeched. I bet you two have been sneaking off into the bush to... The next vulgar sentence made your eyes pop out of your head, and Ojiro nearly passed out. Suddenly, it all clicked, and you realised what was going on. The way you felt about Ojiro, what others were perceiving of your relationship, and the real reason why your quirk was acting up. It was all because of your feelings towards this guy, and it certainly seemed that he was feeling things towards you too. I don't care what you say, you shouted into the mist. I like Ojiro and I'm not going to hide it. Momo and Uraraka shrieked. Ojiro blushed madly, tail wagging wildly, but he didn't have long to celebrate because Mineta suddenly launched another ball attack and aimed them directly at Ojiro, jealous and enraged. Quick as a flash, you shot your tail between Ojiro and the incoming purple balls, collecting all of them onto your tail that then attached to the other balls already stuck there, and then you stepped out and did a spin, flicking your tail out and around one of the trees nearby and snapping the trunk in half before swinging it around and wiping out all the trees closest to you. Come out of your own accord, you pathetic bastard, or I'll wipe you out, you shouted with a newfound power, one centered in the knowledge that you had someone who loved you, and you loved them. Dark Shadow, go! Another voice suddenly bellowed, and the dark shadow monster suddenly appeared, clawing through the trees that were left standing after your attack, digging out more of the bushland. You could hear Mineta screaming and hollering at those nearby. Don't let him get away, you yelled, still with half a tree wrapped in your tail, as the purple balls had stuck it tight and you couldn't release it. Catch him! I'm going to skin him alive! Yin, maybe we should... I'll crush him into a pulp! You hollered, running forwards to chase the screaming midget, still unseen in the darkness. Mineta! Kaminari screamed, coming out of nowhere to help while Dark Shadow continued to uproot and throw trees. Kaminari, it's not fair! Mineta's scream cried in the mist somewhere. Bro, stop! You need to stop! I'll call them off if you hand yourself in, Kaminari called. Okay, I concede, Mineta hollered in a pitiful voice, and Tokoyami recalled Dark Shadow, relieved that he still could, as it was getting pretty dark now and he was worried that he might lose control of his quirk. Your tail settled too, a little once Dark Shadow had stopped rampaging through the trees, but you were still upset that the last attack of Mineta's had been at Ojiro. Before Mineta showed himself, Aizawa showed up and placed a hand on your and Ojiro's shoulders, showing that he was there without saying anything as Mineta hadn't realised that he was there yet. Kaminari was still calling for Mineta to come to him, and you were standing there still at the ready, tree trunk held off the ground. "Dude," Kaminari said as the ragged purple midget stumbled out of the mist. "What were you thinking?" "Kaminari is not fair, she..." But he didn't get even one step further before Aizawa's scarf wrapped around him, mummifying him in an instant, and you grunted with displeasure at not being able to have squished him. Ojiro heard your grunt and gently placed a hand on your shoulder, then gave you a kind smile. "It's okay. You did plenty. Let's let Aizawa take it from here," he said. Immediately your tail calmed and started to shrink, but it couldn't shrink all the way as the trunk was still there, so you just lay it on the ground beside you for a moment, then picked it back up as Aizawa turned and walked back down the track to the cabins, with the small group following behind him. "Okay, let's call it at the end of the day, seeing as I have something to attend to," Aizawa commented with a sigh. "Kaminari, you still have 50 push-ups to do. Your day isn't done yet. Is everyone else okay?" Yin has a whole tree trunk stuck to her tail," Yurika pointed out as you just carried it with you behind the group. "I'll be okay," you said, a little unsurely, since you weren't sure how you were going to get it off, to be honest, but you didn't care at that point. You'd had a huge breakthrough today. Nothing could bring you down now. Aw, yay Yin! Final chapter next Wednesday. I'll see you then.